All right, this is your ACT warm-up number 4 guide to go over it. Here you go. So we have 6/8 times 2/12. So I'm gonna try all these without a calculator and just show you a couple real quick tricks to get the calculator if you're allowed to. So 6/8 out of 2/12. I look at those two, see if I can reduce them. What can I divide out of 6 and 8? Both are divisible by 2, so I could say if I divide both by 2, that's going to be 3/4. And then 2 out of 12 can be divided by 1/6. So they're both divisible by 2, so it's 1 out of 6. That's going to be 3/4 times 1/6. But then I got a 3 and a 6 hanging out, right? So I can divide that 3 by 3 to give me 1, and I can divide by 6 by 3 to give me 2. So ultimately, that's going to be 1/4 times 1/2. Just multiply straight across. That's going to be 1 out of 8. We can check that in here. It's going to be 6 divided by 8, right arrow, multiplied by 2 divided by 12. And you get that decimal converted to a fraction. It's 1/8. All right, let's try the next couple. 2 over -7 divided by 3/5. So when you're dividing a fraction, you want to keep, change, flip. What that means is you're going to keep the first fraction as is. Although might I suggest put the negative on the top or off to the side. Change that to multiplication and then flip the second fraction. So that's going to be 5/3. Now 2, 7, 5, 3, they're all prime numbers. You can't really reduce anything there. So you're strictly just going to multiply straight across. So 2 times 5, that's going to be 10. 7 times 3, that's going to be 21. And you have one negative. So the whole thing is going to be negative. So it's really just negative 10/21. We will check in here. So 2 divided by -7. Right arrow divided by, see if this works. And then you could say 3/5. And let's see. All right, it does give you -10/21, so we got it. That's kind of weird to type in, but it worked. Okay, letter C, we're going to do -7/11 divided by 4 and 1/5. First, here are the rules to convert an improper fraction or a mixed fraction. So first, we're going to times those two together. So it's going to be 20. Then you're going to add that to the 20. So it's going to be 4 times 5 plus 1, and then we just put it all over 5. So it's 21/5. So let's rewrite this. It's -7/11 divided by 21/5. Well, again, I have a keep, change, flip problem. So keep, change, flip. We're going to change that to times. -7/11 times 5/21. Now on this problem, I'm looking at my numerator, 7 and 21, both are divisible. I can divide them both by 7, so it's going to give me 1/3. So my final answer would be -1 times 5, which is -5, and then divided by 11 times 3, which is 33. So I should have -5/33. Now, I don't think Desmos allows you to type in improper fractions, so you would have to first do -7/11, and then you would have to divide it by that 21/5. So you would have to convert that into a fraction first. So -7/11 divided by 21/5, convert it, -5/33. All right, number 2. Now with adding fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So you have 3/7 plus -4/5. You have to find out the smallest number those both go into. So think about what they both can multiply into. In this case, it's going to be 35. So what number do I have to multiply 7 by to get to 35? And what number do I have to multiply 5 by to get 35? And so it turns out you have to multiply 7 by 5. But you got to copy that to the numerator. They got to be equivalent. So it's 5 out of 5. Here you got to multiply them both by 7. So that's going to give you 15 out of 35. That's equivalent to 3 out of 7 plus negative 28 out of 35. Now you're ready to add the numerators. So negative 15 or 15 plus negative 28. That's the same thing as 28 minus 15, but with the negative, which is going to give you 13, negative 13. And that's out of 35. Let's put that in the calculator, shall we? So 3 divided by 7 plus negative 4 divided by 5. That fraction, negative 0.3714285714, etc. Click it. Negative 13 out of 35. All right, let it be. For this problem here, the common denominator 16 and 8. Well, what goes into what can they both go into? Well, 8 actually goes into 16. So what we'll do here is we'll say 14 out of 16, but I'm not going to do anything with the 16 because that's already my common denominator. But the 3 out of 8, I got to multiply those both by 2. Right, bump that up to 16. That's going to be 6 out of 16. So we'll rewrite that as 14 out of 16 minus 6 out of 16. And now we're ready to subtract. So 14 minus 6, that's going to be 8. Well, 8 divided by 16 is 1/2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So it's going to be 1/2. And you can verify that in the calculator. .5, 1/2. All right, letter C, we got 3.5 minus 4 2/5. Again, we're going to convert to an improper fraction, so it's multiply and add, so it's 6 plus 1, 7/2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2, 22, 22/5. So 7/2 minus 22/5. Again, we got to get a common denominator, so think about what 2 and 5 both go into. It's 10. So we want to make 7 over 2, 22 over 5th, and we have to multiply by the appropriate number to get that up to 10. So 2 times 5 is 10. And then 5 times 2 is 10. So I have to multiply the 22 by 2, 7 times 5. That's going to be 35 over 10 minus 44 over 10. And 35 minus 44 is a negative. Turns out that's going to be negative 9 over 10. And that should not reduce because 9 and 10 both, nothing goes into both of those except for 1. So let's double check our work. We're going to do 7 over 2 minus 22 over 5, negative 0.9, negative 9 tenths. All right, number 3. Number 3 is a word problem. There are 7 1/4 silk rolls, 7 1/4 yards of silk on a roll. It takes 3/4 of a yard to make 1 scarf. How many scarves can be made from 1 roll? So let's break this down and see what we got. So it takes 3/4 of a yard to make 1 scarf. We'll just kind of make a little unit thing. 3/4 of a yard. How many scarves can be made from 1 roll? Well, we want to figure out how many of these go into that, right? That's our total. So it's going to be a division. So we want to do 7 1/4 divided by 3/4. So we're going to make this an improper fraction. That's multiply 7 times 4, add the 1. So 28 plus 1 is 29 divided by 3/4. We're going to keep, change, flip. So 29 over 4 multiplied by, and we're going to flip that to 4/3. Well, this one's kind of cool because those 4s will actually cancel out, right? So this is really, those are both 1, so it's really 24 over 3. And it turns out 24 divided by 3 is a whole number. That's going to be 8. So it takes 8 scarves, each at 3/4 of a yard, to get 7 1/4 yards. And let's check it. So 7 1/4 is 29 over 4. And if we press divided by 3/4, I wrote 24, not 29. My bad. I was like, what is going on there? That's 29. So 29 definitely does not divide by 3. So we're going to leave that as 29 over 3, which is about 9 2/3 if you really want to know. Sorry about that. We'll leave that as 29 over 3. But again, it doesn't make sense. How many scarves? 9.66. You can't have a fraction of a scarf. So if you divide that out, it's going to be 9.6 repeating, which is 9 2/3. You can't have 2/3 of a scarf, so it's going to be 9 scarves. Round down. All right, last problem. Write each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. All right, we can do this. So each decimal is a fraction. 0.6. 0.6 is 6/10. 6 out of 10. Okay, think about what that reduces to. They're both divisible by 2. So that's going to be 3 out of 5. 3/5. Okay, -3.6. -3.6. Now, it doesn't say if it's improper or mixed. I prefer improper. So let's look at that. That's 3 6/10. All right, 0.6 is 6/10. It's a negative. We'll deal with that later. So if I multiply, that's going to be 30 plus 6. So it's 36 over 10. Now I can reduce that. There's a negative. So both of those are going to be divisible by 2. So that's going to be 18 over 5. So it's -18 over 5. Let's check that. We'll check that in the calculator. And then last, negative 1.55. 1.55. 1 in, now 0.55 is 55 hundredths. So 1 in 55 over 100. Now we can surely reduce that 55 over 100 first if you'd like. 55, if you divide both of these by 5, that's going to be 11 over 20. Now that's a little bit more manageable, right? So 1 in 11/20ths, multiply those, you get 20 plus 11, so it's 31 over 20. 31 is prime, can't reduce that, so it should be 31 over 20. Now we'll check all these in here just to make sure. So 0.6, 3/5. -3.6, -18 over 5. And 1.55, 31 over 20. There's your ACT warm-up number 4. Thanks for joining my TED Talk. Please submit your answers.